reptilians are here on this planet, and they run all the governments through hybrid humans. Everything you see here, the police, the politics, everything is controlled by them through hybrid humans. They are like us, but they can use more brain than us. This is all genetic, this is a DNA stuff you can research on YouTube. They use 15% of their brain, we use 10% of our brain. They use telepathy as a language. They speak each other by telepathy. Our own family members use telepathy on us. They know what we think, and they are real slaves in our world. I can prove everything. I have evidences. This is the virus. The virus is not medical. The virus is informational. I am the virus because I know what are they doing, and I want to expose them. I fight with them since 25 September 2019 when I posted on Facebook I want to give free electricity to the world. And that's why I have problems, because I don't quit.
Who are the Draco?
The Draco are a group of alien entities that are reptilian evolved. They range in height from 8 to 14 feet tall. It's my understanding that there are also some variations of them that are shorter than that. Some of them have vestigial tails and wings.
Okay, so the Dracos are now in alliance with the Germans at the beginning of the 1940s.
Yes, and working together with them.
Okay, so they had gone to Antarctica in 1938, the first polar expedition by the Germans. And you're saying in the early 40s they were told to make the base there?
They were told to build a base there. And so they built a base under the ice capable of sustaining upwards of 300,000 to 400,000 people.
Whoa.
And so they started stocking it out and building it out. And the purpose for that, and of course the Draco didn't tell them this at the time, but they wanted to have a proxy in place that would help them recover some of the alien technologies that were down there, are down there.
What is a draconian?
Oh, draconian is another reptoid species, but they tend to look more like a crocodile or an alligator. So they got a long snout, dark green skin. Some of the higher echelons can have wings, can be winged. Some of them can be very tall. As a species, they tend to be the a-holes of the galaxy and very aggressive. Their main tactic and strategy is fear, and so they love to make people feel like they're super strong, super terrifying. Oh, they're so powerful, we can't possibly beat them, but they bleed like everything else. And so once we started to understand that their main tactic was to make us feel intimidated, we became less intimidated. So they're not so much of an issue. I mean, they're militarily challenging, but we have certainly met them in the field of battle and won. So.
These indigenous reptoids, what was the language like?
Well, I think the most important distinction is they have a different tongue and a different palate. So the sounds that we make, we may not think about it, are very unique to our tongue and our palate. They're sounds that are biologically distinctive to what the physiology of our mouth and our tongue and our lips can do. So in the same way, the sounds that they make for their language really are dependent on that biological relationship, again, between, mouth, teeth, tongue, palate, and so forth. I would say a lot of their language involved sort of guttural sounds, some kind of hissing sounds, as well as clicks. It's important to note that if I were to say anything in their language, even though you wouldn't hear it, I would be saying it with a Terran accent because I can't actually make the exact sounds because I don't have the same tongue and the same palate. But their name for the planet is not Mars. We call it Mars. They call it Galuka.
Wow. Very deep.
Yeah, and again, to be honest, I'm saying that very badly. So if an indigenous reptoid were here saying that, if heard me say that, he'd look at me sideways and go, because they hate it when we mispronounce their words.
Did you talk and communicate a lot with them using vocal?
They mostly spoke in English, to be honest with you, again, with an accent because of the tongue and the palate, and their English was actually pretty good. And I learned a few words, but we were not encouraged to speak their language because they're very picky about pronunciation, and if you can't pronounce the word right, they'd rather you didn't say it. It's offensive to their ears, and they get very They get very rubbed the wrong way when you say words wrong.
Tell me, please, what kind of times are we living in?
The period of preparation for the recognition of evil.
That's just where we are now?
Yes, we are preparing to attain evil.
Couldn't we do this before?
No, we are not there yet, but we are gradually approaching it. It takes enormous suffering to sense evil, to define it, to attain it, and draw conclusions from it.
I see. And you feel this is the time?
Not yet, but it's getting closer. We no longer hide behind all sorts of slogans. We no longer believe in abstract values. We're only interested in one thing. Is there a meaning to life or not? If not, let's assume there is not, then how to live this life on the animal level the right way.
You know, when you really find out what's going on and what's happening on Earth, it's very depressing, and it totally fits with biblical prophecy, because it appears that both gray aliens and reptilians are feeding on human bodies. That's one of the things that you learn. We need to get rid of these human traffickers. We need to get these aliens out of here, because they are demons. And it's worse than you think. It's a lot worse than you think. What's going on with the border? Most of those people are not going to become American citizens. That's what they call a meat wagon. And I heard about meat wagons all the way back in 2010. They let people through the border, they put them on a bus, they drive them into an underground base, and whatever happens from there.
We are very much aware of that. I wasn't going to get into that in this, but since you bring it up, it's confirmed through so many sources, people on the ground. We know that's happening. You're exactly right, and it's not just children; it's adults too.
You know, we're talking about Christianity, we're talking about demons, and I want to make some dots connect, okay? So that you understand that what the Bible was talking about is absolutely true. So the Greys apparently don't need the victim to be tortured at all. They could take any human, it doesn't matter. But with the Draco, they really need the victim to have suffered. Part of what they feed on is the energy that we release in death, in suffering.
Right.
There is a way to feed on that, apparently, energetically.
One of these groups, one of the four, looked exactly like we do. And I mean exactly. So much so they could put on a suit and a tie, sit next to you in a restaurant, sit right beside you in an airplane, or sit right next to you in a hall just like this, and ladies and gentlemen, you would never know. You would never know unless they wanted you to. And generally speaking, they don't want you to.
By sharing some of this information with you, I am in the process of violating my national security oath. The planet Earth is and has been the subject of an extensive, detailed study by several extraterrestrial civilizations. The human race is a hybrid. We were seeded here, and we have had an intimate interrelationship with high technology, advanced intelligence for hundreds of thousands of years. It hasn't stopped. They are still involved. I'm not trying to frighten you, but I'm trying to say to you that in the next very few short years, you're going to be experiencing things that are going to literally change your life in ways you have never dreamed or imagined. And you better be ready for it.
As soon as I got out of the car, she got out of the car too, and we walked around to the back of the four-wheel drive to get out the equipment. And as soon as I'm turning to pull up the back of the boot, there was one of the Draco reptilians. It was basically behind Carol on an angle. Now, at this time, it was phasing in and out like a distortion, how would you say? It was sort of be like a hologram tuning in and out with static. And it was coming in and out. And straight away I just said to her, get in the car. I got into the car. At that time, like this would have only been 10 metres away. And it had horns, it's got the wings. I couldn't tell you what colour, but when they were projected to me, they were yellowish brown colour. Big, like maybe 8-9 foot tall, something like. It was big.
Yeah. Supposedly that there's the tall gray aliens and there's the reptoids are the two types that are at this base, from what I've been able to understand. I might be wrong. There could be more, but from what I've heard about the Greys. Yes, they do like to predate on humans, and they actually make a sort of a drug out of their adrenal gland that they call adrenochrome that they get high on, and which goes right along the lines with the same thing with the reptilians, who like to have the humans that they're going to eat be extremely terrified before they eat them, because apparently they like the taste of the meat better that way. And I can state from personal experience that I've had meat from a slaughterhouse where they were not very careful about not terrorizing the animals before they delivered the death blow to them. And you could tell the difference. You could taste the difference in the meat. So that's a no BS right there. I can personally bet that there is a difference in the way the meat tastes. And, whether these things get high off it or whatever, there's other people that are on the same page that we are on that think that they are probably demons. And they think that these things actually can derive sustenance from negative emotion in some fashion. That, fear, sadness, heartache, whatever, negative emotions, anger, rage, all these things, that they actually can somehow derive some sort of sustenance from it. So, I mean, there's another weird thing that sort of ties in with all of this.
Yeah, it does. It really makes you wonder what's going on up there in this whole thing and what the agenda is. It's kind of like the insider I had on with Chris. Coincidentally, it was the Air Force that was cracking down on Chris. And Chris was told, don't talk about any sort of DNA manipulation, don't talk about aliens, stick to Bigfoot and minimize what you say. And, it's just shocking to me. I think one day these things are going to pop up and everyone's reality is going to be shaken to the core.
Let you guys make the final decision on what you think.
Yeah, I had a guy on one time. He goes, and this is one of those stories I never put on the air. It was a law enforcement guy, and he was in New Mexico, and he said he ran into, they were on a dirt bike, a mountain biking race or something to that effect. And he said what he saw is this thing cross the road. Well, I'm thinking we're going to talk about Bigfoot. And as he's describing it to me, he said it looked like, he goes, I think it was an alien. And I go, it was what? And he goes, well, it was like a half man, half lizard running across the road. It was upright, like how we walk, but had the face of a snake or face of a lizard. And he said it ran up into the rocks and it was gone. And the other interesting point he said it had a tail. And so for the longest time, I was trying to figure out what this guy was talking about, because he's not describing a dog man. He's not really describing a Sasquatch. And I'm not really big into the alien thing, but this guy was as sincere as they come. And I just could not figure out what this guy was talking about. And he didn't even know. And so, as you go into this whole story of Dulce and this deep underground military base, you hear a lot of weird stories. I think there was a security guy that got killed there. Have you heard about that?
I'm not sure that I've heard that one.
Yeah, it was, I'm trying to remember where I heard it from. The story goes, it was a military guy, and it's 8 levels of this underground base. And humans were not allowed to go to like level 7 and 8. And in level 6, you could hear people screaming for help. And he ended up going down there by mistake. He got stuck on the elevator. He went down there by mistake. And he said there's like people in cages. There's children in cages. And he ended up running into one of, he called it the Dracos too. He ran into one of the Dracos. And he got reprimanded for that. He basically got fired. He got, I don't remember the whole story. He got fired. Something happened with his job. But anyway, he started talking to one of his other friends that were on the base, and they say that the Dracos actually eat people. They get off on, it has to do with the adrenal glands. When you become scared, they almost kind of get off on it. And when I heard Phil Snyder talking that exact same thing, it kind of brought chills up my spine, because I had heard that before. Sometimes I think in life, fact is stranger than fiction.
1991. Logger Hokan discovers a mysterious entrance to a hidden mountain cave obscured by dense jungle overgrowth. The cliffs leading down to the entrance are so steep he cannot explore it further, but he notes its location. Nearly 2 decades later, the British Cave Research Association finally explores the cave. What the team discovers is astounding. It is the largest underground chamber on the planet.
It's not just a cave. It's an actual world in Vietnam. Inside this cave, it's 40 stories high. There's actually an ancient forest. It's got flowing water, not just a puddle or a stream, but an actual river. Inside the cave is an entire growing ecosystem. And it's so deep that it looks like it's an entrance to a whole other reality.
This incredible subterranean realm, called the Son Doong Cave, is estimated to be roughly 3 million years old. It runs through the earth for nearly 6 miles, and numerous areas where the cave ceiling has collapsed allow sunlight to enter, resulting in the growth of trees and other vegetation. But according to area residents, what's most notable about Son Doong Cave are the strange creatures that are believed to dwell within it.
Local residents describe seeing reptilian-type humanoid beings emerging from the Son Doong Cave, and they believe that they actually live deep inside this cave. What's fascinating about this is that these reptilian-type humanoid beings are similar to the seraphim or the winged serpents in Kabbalistic tradition. The seraphim are said to have gone and lived in the inner earth, according to Kabbalistic teaching.
Is it possible that reports of reptilians at Son Doong Cave are encounters with beings from inner earth? While it may sound too incredible to be true, there have been reports that during the Vietnam War in the 1970s, U.S. soldiers encountered what they described as upright lizards inhabiting caves. And accounts of reptilian beings existing in underground caverns can be found all across the globe, even on the other side of the world, in Cusco, Peru.
Throughout Peru and around Cusco particularly, there are many, many stories of a tunnel system that has something to do with serpent deities, which they call the Amaru there. The Peruvian authorities themselves decided it was too dangerous for people to go into these tunnels, so they looked for all of the entrances they could around Cusco, and they sealed them up. And this is a well-known story within Peruvian history.
While there have been many reports from around the world of human-like reptilians, there is another inner-earth entity described in the Zohar that is even more commonly witnessed in modern times.
According to Zoharic literature, there are beings inside the earth having large black eyes and a nose that leaves only 2 dark holes on the face. Now that corresponds to things that we've heard about these, for lack of a better word, ETs. There is a lot of evidence that these beings that we think are coming from another planet are not coming from another planet. They're coming from inside our own Earth.
The New World Order, the alien agenda is one and the same. It's world takeover and the decimation of the population of this planet. Now, I'm going to tell you something a little bit different about the alien species. The bad news ones, there are 9 races of alien populations that look at a human being as a bag of food. They're not cannibals. They don't eat the flesh and the bones and all that kind of stuff. They use the glandular secretions of animals and human beings as a mixture of the vitamins for their food. They get high off of our adrenal gland substances called adrenal chrome. It's something like cocaine to them. Now, I'm going to casually mention to you something that's very scary indeed. And tell you what the alien agenda is. And it's going to sound very familiar. The alien agenda is the complete takeover of this planet, the killing off of 5, 6 to 7/8 of the world's population by the year 2029. U.S. military has known about this for 45 years. They've told no one.
Well, I don't understand really jokes about white people doing the dumb shit in horror movies. We literally saw a pile of children shoes, some bones inside a cucumber. What do you think this is? I think it's a joke. Dabble in the shit. Make sense.
Yakınlaştıralım arkadaşlar. Aman yarabbi gözlerine bakın. Ay bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bak 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 aşağı iniyor. Ay bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yakınlaştıralım arkadaşlar. Aman yarabbi gözlerine bakın. Ay bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bak 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 aşağı iniyor. Ay bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Whilst exploring a collapsed cave in Jordan, these two men shifted some rock and were startled when a small face was peering back at them. As one of the men removed some rocks, you can see a small face on the other side, which quickly darts away. The head seems to be too small to be human. Is this an elaborate prank, or some kind of disfigured animal or cryptoid?
Is anybody in there? Bro, tell me y'all hear that shit. Bro, tell me I'm not tripping, y'all hear that. Yo, what the fuck? Yo, what the fuck? What the fuck is that, bro? It gets farther away at the end, dude. What the? Oh shit!
What the fuck is that? What in the fuck? Wait a minute.
Hey!
Fuck, where'd it go? The hell? So yeah, what do you think? Should I go out there?
No, no, please.
Is there something on the roof? I gotta figure out what it is. Like, we can't just leave it up there. It could climb in the window in the middle of the night and kill us.
I don't know. I say.
Screw it. No, I gotta go up there. Alright, I decided I gotta go out there. So I don't know where the hell that thing went, but it's gone off the ridge. Alright, sorry it's gonna be shaky. Gotta get out there somehow. Where did it go? Fuck is that? What in the fuck?
and it's a growing movement, is the Lizard Illuminati. I joke around about it a lot, but it is crazy when you really think about it. There are adults out there stressed out because they're worried about reptilians from space who live in tunnels beneath us, who mate with our political leaders and create these weird bloodlines and control our thoughts from the moon matrix. Like, there's somebody in a cubicle right now going, "God damn lizards! I'm sick of it!" When I first found out about it, I thought it was a joke. And when I watched the videos, I was laughing. And then I read the comments underneath, and I thought it would just be comment after comment of stuff like, "Get the fuck out of here, it's crazy." No, comment after comment of like, "Thank you for being brave enough to speak the truth." Hashtag woke as fuck. What? This is a real belief. That's what amazes me about the internet. No matter how crazy the video is, there are believers in the comment section, no matter how extreme. You know, just some guy ran, just like, "I'm sick of the Rothschilds taking their blood, pedophile money, and using it for their Agenda 21 extermination program." Okay? It's Bohemian Grove. They meet about it every year. They have the rituals. It's on tape. Okay, listen, the Bilderbergers, just looking, the pizzas are there. Wake up, sheeple. It's the Freemasons, working with the Knights Templar, Priory of Sion. Connect the dots. Okay, Mona Lisa, do the math. The Greys, Area 51. They coordinate everything. All roads lead to the Denver airport!
And that somehow there's a group of powerful figures in Hollywood, as well as powerful politicians, who are in fact not human. They're reptiles or they're lizards, perhaps extraterrestrials, who are secretly trying to take over society and are responsible for some of the worst and most tragic events in human history. Some of the people that have been named in this include the Clintons, Bob Hope, Justin Bieber, the Obamas, several others.
As expected, Benjamin Netanyahu is speaking. We want to take you there now live.
While removing any incentive for it to do so.
Look at the shapeshifter live on TV, Fox. Look at his eye. That's not a camera mess up. It's stuck to his eye. They're about to cut out and clear it up. Watch.
Its aggression in the region and its efforts to destroy Israel, which are ongoing.
They know. And then it's gone. Same eye. But nowhere.
That aggression was on display.
Sus agresiones hacia mi persona, que soy drogadicta. Yo soy una drogadicta en recuperación, ¿sí? La señora no sé qué sea, ¿verdad? Será mujer, será quimera, no sé qué, pero he recibido agresiones muy fuertes y yo le mandé a decir que no se meta conmigo, que no me haga abrir la boca, porque pues yo por las buenas soy una santita, por las malas soy re mala.
¿Por qué te has pleito con Carmen Campuzano?
¿Qué te hizo? ¿Qué te hizo?
No, los hombres.
Para darles un ejemplo. Y eso me enorgullece mucho.
Claro, Carmen, ¿tú qué opinas de estas cosas que dice Lin May? Que indiscutiblemente
Mira,
es una mujer que tiene una carrera, ¿no?
Yo tengo una carrera.
Yo tengo una carrera,
tengo 100 la modelo más destacada de
Yo no
México,
sé, Carmen, qué haya
la señora,
hecho.
Pues de cabaretera no ha pasado, ¿verdad?
Claro.
¿Sí? Y todos sabemos perfectamente a qué se dedica. Hay mucha distancia entre ella y yo, porque yo soy una reina, soy una dama, tengo mucha clase. Y la señora no la tiene.
Sí,
desgraciadamente
sí,
no
yo creo
con
que
eso.
sí.
Si las damas son las que se drogan,
además,
no soy una dama, ¿eh? Yo no me peleo por hombres.
Si nada más se la pasa
tuve
en
la
los hospitales drogada todo el tiempo, qué lástima me da mucha lástima. Porque todo el tiempo dura un mes bien y al mes ya está en un hospital porque ya se drogó y ya está otra vez.
Worked late one night, so I got off at 12 midnight. I didn't get my workout in that day, so I decided to get my run and walk in before I go to bed. So as I was walking, I seen someone up in front of me coming towards me, but they was kind of far off. and I could tell it was a person. It was human, had a human shape, and I'm thinking, well, it's just somebody's walking, you know. And then I got to where they turned off at. I continued to proceed to walk. I didn't see this person no more. So as I proceeded to walk, I got on down, and I got to my spot. So as I got to the destination where this person turned left at, I looked again. This person is standing in the middle of the road. And as I was looking, and I was like, hold up. This person looks like a snake, like a standing snake. So as I was looking, I started walking fast, and I kind of picked him. I started running. This thing started chasing me. And as it started chasing me, I kind of looked back. It was like a reptilian looking figure. It had scaly skin. As I was running, I could tell that it was running, and it was kind of running with a limp. This thing tongue was hanging out his mouth, and his tongue could touch his chest if it wanted to. But this thing was chasing me, but I was in shape. I was running hard. And when I got to my spot, to my apartment complex, I looked back. It was gone. Reptilian people are real.
Congress shall now vote for approval of H.R. 8791, the Homeland Terrorism Preparedness Bill. Said bill requests emergency response funding up to and including, this section is classified, dollars to prepare for a national level terrorist attack and or attack from classified. Funding for first responder personnel and vehicles would be doubled if said attack leads to more than 80% of national population being affected by classified. This funding shall commence in conjunction with the first attack on classified or the first large-scale outbreak of classified, dependent upon which comes first. Civilian and military units shall be trained in containment and combat of classified, including irradiated classified with possibility of classified airborne, classified flesh-eating, classified and or all of the above in such event as classified spewing, classified escape, are released or otherwise become uncontrollable. Air Force units may also be directed to combat said classified due to their enormous size and otherworldly strengths. Should event occur in urban areas, that's classified, far surpassing our darkest nightmares. Should casualties exceed classified body disposal actions, shall be halted and associated resources shall be reallocated to classified underground, classified protected birthing centers. New Bill of Rights shall be drafted and approved by classified. Having now reviewed the bill, I ask you to please cast your votes.
To show something the world's governments fear in Antarctica.
You have no idea how many. You have no idea what's coming. We smell Christian blood. We are waiting for our day. And when the call is given, millions of us will be released. And they looked at me and said, you believe in revivals, and you believe in Pentecost and the power of God. You believe in all that. We believe in the Black Awakening.
Beasts, it's time. Release the beasts.
I can't call beast. We were humanity. And now, we're no more than pests. Vermin. They came here to exterminate us. They took our history and culture. They covered our landmarks in dying humanity. The wail of the dying carried for miles. They're building some kind of breeding facility for those that survive. People that have defected say it's worse than hell. Humans becoming some kind of surrogate incubators for the alien young. They killed us in waves when they first arrived. They built these megastructures that spew methane, manufacturing their atmosphere. They've sown their crops, snuffing out our plant life, raising the global temperature, causing our cities to flood. They waged war on Earth. They set fire to our forests. It's already hard to breathe. Impossible to breathe if you are close to the stacks. Rats. Insects. Humans. They hack into our psyche, into our minds, paralyzing us, taking control of the cerebrum and the limbic system, rendering us as slaves. We've been able to design a brain barrier that protects us from their influence.